June 30, 2026. It is a beautiful day out. I'm so thankful for this weather. It's like 94 degrees today. I'd be doing this outside, but they're all playing out there in the pool, so it is what it is. But we dove into Matthew 26. We're supposed to do Mark 14 as well, but there's too much to unpack here. I'm splitting this in 2 days. And as I just said, there is a lot to unpack. So I'm going to get into a couple points, kind of jump around a little bit. But yeah. Verse 15. First thing that kind of stood out to me was how Judas went to the priests. It wasn't the other way around. I don't know. I feel like I've heard in the past that they came to him, or they came to all the disciples, and I don't know. I've heard mixed things there, but that frees up all argument there, right? He came to them and he asked, verse 15, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him to you?" And they counted 30 pieces. 30 pieces was the price of a slave, so that kind of puts it into perspective. That's what my notes say, the price of a slave. Not a whole lot, I'm assuming, but not enough for him to be like, no, that's nothing. But that's the idea, is price of a slave. So he came to them. And then another greatly argued topic here, verse 20, is the whole order of events with all this, with the crucifixion and the resurrection. Some people think Friday to Sunday, right? They think Friday evening, Sunday morning. But then others argue, no, that doesn't line up with the biblical prophecy in Jonah with the 3 days and 3 nights in the fish, which that's the idea, 3 days and 3 nights, because Jewish days, I guess, were split. Well, no, they weren't split. They were considered evening and morning. That was a day. And then the next evening and the morning, that was a day. Not how we see it now, where it's morning and evening, and that's your whole 24-hour day. And then you go to bed, and the night is like kind of the barrier, right? Whatever. That's not the same. So hugely argued topic over what days as well that correlated with those 3 days and 3 nights. A lot of people think this arrest in the Passover, right, that was Wednesday. Other people think there's no way, why would a feast like that be on a Wednesday? It would usually be on a Sabbath. But then other people say, well, if it's on a Sabbath, why wasn't it on Sunday? And then the crucifixion would be on, well, that would be that same morning, so that would have been Monday. I mean, it's so argued. I want to do research, and I'm hoping, because every single gospel, right, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they all go over the same thing, right? The Passover with the disciples, then the prayer in the garden, and the betrayal and arrest. They all go over the same thing. So I'm hoping to, throughout this, be able to research what I need, what I want to research, and kind of correlate with my research into the next videos. So tomorrow, hopefully I'll know more, and the day after that, hopefully I'll know more, and we'll be able to keep going. But again, this is Matthew, and I'm going to research that for sure, the order of events and days and all. Yes. Verse 26, with the Lord's Supper, the New Covenant. Such a beautiful remembrance, and I love how we still do that today, that we keep up with that today. I think even the Passover is important to keep up with today if you really know the meaning and appreciate the meaning, right? Which I do. But the Lord's Supper, so important, that remembrance of his atoning work. He says, "Take, eat, this is my body, and drink all of you, this is my blood, both of the new covenant, which is shed for many, all for the remission of sins." That's deep, and that is something we are to remember consistently and reflect on consistently. So I love that. The Lord's Supper, it's always spoke out to me. Love it. And then 56, verse 56. So we jumped quite a bit between the Lord's Supper and verse 56. We had Peter's denial the 3 times. That's Jesus predicting Peter's denial. And you have the prayer in the garden where the disciples were sleeping and Christ was just so overcome with distress, right? And then the betrayal and arrest. And in verse 56 of the betrayal and the arrest, I caught something. I caught right at the last part of the verse and last part of that whole section, right? Quote, then all the disciples forsook him and fled. So that's after Peter, with his sword, cut off the high priest's ear, the servant of the high priest. That's after that, but before Jesus was taken away. They all forsook him. And it's really cool. This is quoted first in this same chapter in verse 31. Jesus said to them, all of you will be made to stumble because of me this night, for it is written, and remember this, quote, I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered. And I had to do a little bit of research and digging on this, but I remember it. I do remember it. Reading it in the Old Testament. And again, I did research and I found Zechariah 13:7. Ready for this? Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, against the man who is my companion, says the Lord of hosts. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. That's pretty cool. That prophecy is pretty cool, but it's not cool that they forsook him. His disciples, his 12 disciples, right? Those who were with him, forsook him in the end. And it's just wild. It's wild how Jesus predicts that. Jesus predicts Peter's denial. Peter denies that. They all deny that. In fact, they all say, Peter says, verse 35, even if I have to die with you, I will not deny you. And so said all the disciples. And that same night, they all deny him in their own ways, right? Forsaking him, denying. 3 times Peter denies the people who said that he was a companion. It's crazy. It's something to meditate on, how they did that and how they rejected Christ predicting that, right? That prophecy. But yeah, that's Matthew 26. We're gonna keep diving further into this. We got 2 chapters left in Matthew, then the rest of the Gospels. So almost there, almost done with the Gospels. But I'm excited. I love the deep parts of this, and this is definitely the deep parts of it. So good stuff.